Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Mike and I make stuff. I got a little bit of news for the 2 or 3 people that actually pay attention to what I got going on. The first 2 videos I put out, I talked about intentional obsolescence. Guess what the kids are doing again? I went over intentional obsolescence with you guys and I got to thinking that I needed to make sure that I got you guys some kind of a resource. So for those of you who may be interested, all 1 or 2 of you, I am writing an ebook on intentional obsolescence. The book is The Broken Age, the history of intentional obsolescence and what we can do to fight it. I'll let you guys know when that's ready. If you want to, leave me a comment. Let me know you guys want to be able to get a copy of it. Be happy to get it out to you. Today I figured we did enough talking. Let's actually, I don't know, try to make something. What do you think? Maybe we can make a little money. Maybe we can sharpen our skills a little bit. The first discipline that I'll start tackling is woodworking. It's something that I know quite a bit about. I've got a lot of the tools that I need to do it. But as I move through this process, keep in mind, you don't need anywhere near all the tools that I have. You know, with this, one of these, or even one of these. Now what we're going to do today is we're going to take advantage of something readily discarded by a lot of people. There are 1,000 videos about it, for and against. Some people say it's sacrilege. Some people swear by it. Some people have built their entire channels around doing it. The humble pallet. Now, have I cleaned up this shop at all and made it presentable like I said I would? Absolutely not. Have I? So I went ahead and I cut down the slats from the pallet and the long 2x4 pieces called stringers to give me 12 pieces of one length and these 4 square chunks. Now this is an important point I want to bring up to you guys. How long are each of these slats? At this point, I have no idea. How long are these? Again, no idea. How thick are they? I know that when I set up my saw, I cut them as wide as they were thick, so they're square. That's the only thing I know. Now this is something very important that I wanted to show you guys. This tape measures. They're phenomenal when you want to measure something. Not when you want to make things that are identical. The measurements that you use are completely arbitrary. Don't get focused on if something's exactly 8 inches or 10 inches or 12 and a half or 11 and 3/16. Don't get focused on that just yet. The term I like to use to describe it is called relative dimension. So, it doesn't matter how long these boards are, but if they're all the same length, then I know they're all going to fit in a configuration the way I need them to run out with a rectangular decorative crate. I need 3 for one side, 3 for the other side, and then I need 3 more to cut in half to make this end and this end. So, let me cut these in half real quick. Again, really don't care how long they actually are. I'm just going to whack them real quick. We'll see what we got. Alright, now we got 3 for this end. Alright guys, I think I got you in a decent spot where you can see what's going on. Again, I have no idea what any of these measurements are. All I'm doing is cutting it to a point where where it looks aesthetically okay to me. All right. To begin, we can take that one and set it aside. We don't need it. We have one of our ends another one of our ends. We're in good shape. Now, have I cleaned up this shop at all and made it presentable like I said I would? Absolutely not. Have I? Anyway, what I've done here is pretty simple. You can see I broke down and tore up a pallet. Now, to save money, I saved the nails from the pallet itself, because we'll be using those to put together our project. This thing isn't going to be fancy. It's not going to be anything incredible. We'll probably be able to post it, make $5-10. Depending on your area, could be more, could be less. But I think it'll be a fun project. So let's get to it. Now, for this project to work, guess what else I didn't do? Remember those drill bits I was sorting? Yeah. It never ends. We're going to take 4 of these. We're going to cut them to their appropriate heights so that they become 4 corners on a crate. Just a decorative crate. It's going to be very nice, very simple, easy to do. Then we're going to use these. We're going to make our end caps. We're going to make our sides. We're going to make our bottom. Once all of it's tacked together, we'll hit it with a little sandpaper, clean it up a little bit, leave it nice and rustic. Now normally for woodworking, the optimal glue you want to use is going to be something called PVA glue. Now, I refilled his tank. The glue that you would typically use is called PVA glue. Now this is in an aftermarket bottle that makes it easy to squeeze out. You don't need any of this at all. As a matter of fact, you can put it in a ketchup bottle. It'll be just fine. Most PVA comes in a bottle like this, the brand name, Tight Bond. You don't have to buy that brand. You can buy whatever PVA glue is available in your area if you're focusing specifically on woodworking. But in this case, we're looking to be a little bit more diverse. So we're going to move to a little different adhesive. And we're going to give this Weld Bond a try. Now the reason I chose this, I've never used it except for to do a couple of little rinky-dink things in the house. But this Weld Bond says wood, tile, glass, foam, ceramics, stone. Looks like a pretty versatile adhesive. So we're going to give this a go. And then that way, if you guys end up buying a bottle, then you've got something to use as an adhesive for more projects than just woodworking. Alright guys, sorry about that. The pieces that I used for the end caps, it looks like they were split down the middle of them, so I decided to, off camera, I recut some other ones to get us ready. Here's our 2 ends. So 3 long pieces, 3 longs for the other side. And then of course there's our bottom down there. Alright, so what we're going to do, it's pretty easy. We're going to make these 3 pieces evenly spaced so that their width is pretty much equal to the end piece and our 2 corner pieces. So if you can take note of that, as you can see, I got a little wiggle room, so that lets me build one of those cool little rustic gaps in the middle and space the boards out a little bit to make them come out nice and pretty like that. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to give myself a measurement, the thickness of my slat. My camel. But if you can see, I've now marked the thickness of this. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take these two and my end piece. I'm going to move my board to the line I made. Do the same on the other side. That will be the position of my first board on the end of my crate. Add a little of our weld bond glue. Now from this point, I have no idea what the set time for this glue is. Dry time is up for an hour. Longer, so we got a little while. We're going to grab our trusty hammer and nail this thing down. Now, something I want to point out here. In the beginning, we're only going to put one nail in each side. Why am I only putting one nail? Because then this lets me make adjustments to the position of this before it dries in relation to my other pieces. So now I'm going to set this, pop a nail in. Great. Now I'm going to move here to the other end. And I'm going to add another piece to this side. Don't do the middle first, because you want to center your third piece relative to these other guys. So we're going to set this right out to the edge, right out to the corner. And again, little glue, drop a single nail in on each side. Now, if you want this to be a little bit more pleasing to the touch, you can certainly hit it with some sandpaper before you assemble it. I, of course, have power tools and I'm lazy. So once we're done off camera, I'll probably hit this with my sanders. I tell you, nothing is more of a blessing than to have a work surface that you can beat on, paint on, whatever you need to do without worrying about how pretty you got it. All right, so now we've got these two set in place. At this point, we want to make sure that we're square. And square, for those of you who don't know, forgive me if I'm talking dumb, just means that you got a 90-degree angle on this corner. As long as all of your sides have a 90-degree angle, they'll come together in a nice little cube, and it'll come out great. This may be a place where a measuring instrument comes into play. Some of you may not have a square. I do have one. Hey guys, it's Mike. Still making stuff. This time I made a big mistake. I got a good portion of the way through the video, and I got everything recorded on making the crate. But then it turns out, like I guess it happens to some other people, the video footage for the other half ended up being corrupted, and I couldn't save it. So I thought I'd come out here and just give you a little rundown of what I did. I think where I left off was explaining to you guys how to check something was square if you didn't have a square. So let's pick up there and then we'll keep going. All right, guys, as the project is already done, I'm going to have to show you guys this part on paper. But there's a way for you to be able to check square without having to have an actual square. I'm going to zoom in here so that you can give now what I'm going on. What I got going on, rather. Now, from geometry, we remember the Pythagorean theorem. Now, contractors and blue-collar guys seem to call it the 3-4-5 method because they can't pronounce Pythagoras, I guess. Now, I brought myself a little square, well, a quite big one, so that we draw a graphic representation of a triangle with a square corner so that we can see what's going on and I can get you guys up to speed. Appreciate you being so patient with me. All right, so the Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now what that basically means is that if the right triangle has a 90-degree corner, meaning that it's square. One side plus the other side. Square of one side, A, and the square of side B will equal the diagonal, which will be C. Now I'm going to show you how this works. Now why they call this the 3-4-5 method works like this. It just so happens that if A and B are 3 and 4, well, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and those two add up to 25, which is the square of 5. So we know that we just drew this with a square. I'm going to measure up. How long has it been since you guys seen one of these? Maybe some of you young folks hadn't seen one of these. Drafting ruler. We're going to measure up 3 on this side. We're going to put a mark, and then we're going to measure 4 on this side and put a mark. And if our square is squared, when we measure between the two, I don't know if you guys can see that, 5 inches. So we know that 3 and 4 measured up each leg. If there's 5 in between the two, then we know this corner is square. So when you measure out each of the corresponding pieces on your crate, if you measure 3 inches up one leg, you measure 4 the other way, and that is 5, then you know this is square. If it's greater than 5, then you know you need to transition and you need to shift your corner piece this way. If it's smaller than 5, that means you need to come out. Now at the end of the day, what you didn't see is that I went ahead and completed the crate. Figured I'd show you. Here it came. Here it is. All I did was I continued the sides that I showed you in the first example. I built another one for the other side. Then I took my 9 remaining not long slats and I just nailed them to the other end and 3 on the bottom. And what this did was it made me a pretty decent little crate. Very rustic, but it will accomplish the task. More namely, if you need a crate to hold things, or if you want to put something together decoratively, all of those are options. I do apologize for the camera work. I'll try to get better about that. But one of the things that I wanted to show you guys by doing this project is that you don't have to be entirely perfect. If you watch me build this, I built it about as crude and about as sloppy as I could possibly do it. And yet, it came out all right. It is serving the purpose that it intended to serve. So I guess in saying that, what I intended to tell you was, don't let it discourage you if you don't have a lot of tools, if you don't have a lot of practice, and you don't feel really good and confident like you've done it 100 times, because that will come. And at the end of the day, every mistake I could pick out about this thing, half the time people wouldn't notice it anyway. So that's in the interest if I was looking to sell the thing for something. I'm probably going to post up on Facebook Marketplace, maybe put $5-10 on it, something like that. I'll let you guys know how that turns out. But more than anything, this was to begin getting you guys introduced into making something, putting something together. And a fun footnote that I ended up looking at after the fact is this guy right here with similar dimensions. You go down to the Hobby Lobby and try to buy it, and they try to charge you over $20 for it. When we slapped it together with a little bit of glue, a saw, and an afternoon. Once again, guys, thanks for being so patient with me. I continue to get better with this as I go. Again, I'm going to be working on that ebook, The Broken Age, The Birth of Intentional Obsolescence, and What We Can Do to Fight It. Next time, what I hope to do is maybe try to use some of what we know now that we've made something for ourselves. Maybe you can use it to help somebody else out. I'm going to reach out to the local community and see if somebody has something that's broken or needs somebody to lend a little bit of help getting it figured out, get it fixed. Until then, thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate all of you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And I'll catch you in the next one. See you guys.